humans are fallible. I made more.
Okay, it sounds to me that what he's talking about sounds very procedural to me. He's not lying. What he says is true. I don't know who this guy is or what his background is in aviation. I don't know if he's a pilot. I don't know. Maybe he's a former air traffic controller. I don't know anything about it. But what he's talking about does make sense. When in the air traffic control world, um, it's called passing traffic. So when you have two targets that are converging, they're coming to each other, their paths are going to cross. There are ways that you can protect for that, separate for that. And this is what all the training and experience is about. So what he's talking about is, hey, helicopter, there's an airplane that's going to be in the way, basically. And I'm not using air traffic control talk. I just want you guys to understand what's going on. So the air traffic controller would call traffic to the helicopter. So let me back it up even further. I would guess, and again, I don't know anything, guys. I'm just sitting down here. I've heard a few moments there, and I'm just gonna speculate. I know people say you shouldn't speculate, but I'm just gonna speculate and kind of react to what that guy was just saying. You got an aircraft that's transitioning through a certain area or a sector, whatever you want to call it, and that aircraft is talking to someone in the tower. That aircraft is looking for traffic advisories, right? Or that aircraft is going to land at the same airport. And maybe you got converging runways, you have all this other kind of stuff, right? You want that airplane or that helicopter, that aircraft to see any other aircraft that are out there that's going to be a factor. So you're going to do what we call a traffic call. We're going to call traffic. So, all right. I'll definitely get a little bit of lingo as well when we get into this. You'll do what's called a traffic call. So, what would what is that? That's you telling the crew that in that aircraft that there's going to be another aircraft out there that's going to get close to you, right? So, you don't just tell the one aircraft; you tell both. And it's one of the things when I would train air traffic controllers, and this is something that all air traffic controllers know: traffic for one is traffic for the other. So I'm not going to call traffic to you and not tell the other aircraft if I'm talking to them, right? So I'm going to make sure if I'm not talking to the other aircraft, that air traffic controller that's talking to the other craft is going to call the traffic as well. So what would it sound like? You could say, you got this Army helicopter out there. It could be Army 662, traffic 2 o'clock, 2 miles southbound, 3,000 descending, regional jet, right? That's what it's going to sound like. And the crew of that helicopter, they're going to key up and they're going to say, looking. Or they're going to key up and say, traffic in sight. And then you would follow up with additional instructions if that's what you want to do. The main thing is the pilot you're talking to sees the other traffic. Okay. He sees them. Right? He's not going to fly into him. Now you want to give some instructions. Who's going to go first? Who's going to go second? What's going to happen? Is that guy going to continue descending or is he going to stop? If the guy you calling traffic and is going to, let's say the aircraft is descending, let's say this guy's out of 3,000 and he's descending, you're at 1,500. When you make that traffic call, you're going to tell that pilot what the aircraft is doing. Traffic, 1 o'clock, 2 miles southbound, 3,000 descending to 2,500, port traffic in sight. The helicopter comes back. Roger, we see him. We have him in sight. And they're going to come back, hey, verify he's restricted above this. Affirmative, traffic restricted above you, and then continue on whatever you're going to do. That's just an example of how that stuff works. And it's the same thing to the aircraft that's descending. Traffic 11 o'clock, 2 miles, northbound, helicopter, 1,500. So so the pilots in the jet are going to look down and like, all right, we're looking for traffic. Traffic in sight. Roger, traffic's restricted below you. Right? So that's one of the things you can do. I mean, and there's a million different scenarios, right, as to how this works out. When you have two aircraft that come together in such a close proximity, it appears to an airport or to runways, the situation changes a little bit. But again, it's the air traffic controller's job to prevent collisions in the system. There is video of the aircraft coming together, guys. I've seen that already. I've seen that in just a few minutes. Brother Von's in the building. What's good, brother? Good to see you. Always a pleasure to see you, man. And so obviously something went wrong. The question becomes, is this a systems error or was this a controller error? Was this pilot error? Right? We won't know until all the information is gathered. And right now, The NTSB is involved. They're going to be gathering all sorts of information. On that team with the National Transportation Safety Board, the NTSB, will be military folks. There's going to be FAA folks. There are going to be folks from the manufacturer of the different aircraft. So, you got the CRJ. So it's going to be people from, I guess, Bombardier. I think that's who makes that. You're going to have people there, whoever makes the Black Hawk, engineers. There's so many people involved. They're going to get so much data, and they're going to piece it all together. Yeah, and this story is crazy, man. Definitely, condolences goes out to those people who were lost. They don't know who was on board. Well, we take that back. They know who was on board both aircraft, but I don't believe they've released that information to the public. There hasn't been any numbers given as to how many people were injured, how many people were lost. None of that stuff has come out yet. But this is definitely bad for the air traffic control world, because this is the last thing you want to see. This is very rare. Let's start there. This is not something that happens every day. Flying is still the safest form of travel, but these things do happen. And you guys are going to hear so many stories. You guys are going to hear about controller fatigue, about not having enough air traffic controllers, about air traffic controllers retiring. You're going to hear about management not wanting to authorize overtime, working shorthanded, working controllers too long on position. You're going to hear so much stuff behind this. I promise you. You're going to hear it. They're going to go in. You're going to hear about these numbers. The air traffic controller union is definitely involved in this. So you're going to have NACA, the officials from the National Air Traffic Controllers Association involved in this. Management, from the FAA involved in this. There's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. They're going to get to the bottom of this, and they're going to figure out what's going on. So let's listen to a little bit. I'm definitely going to stay on until they do the press conference so we can get some information from that. But let's listen to a little bit what's going on here.
Plane